ready. It's 5 o'clock. B'vakasha.
Like Rabbi Goldberg said, my name is Mendy Levitin, Rabbi Mendy Levitin, born and raised in Seattle, Washington, and went to yeshivas around the United States and Australia. We moved here with our family 27 years ago to Eretz HaKodesh, raised our family here. We went back to the States for a few years and came back right before COVID. And thus the topic, tension.
Were you ever in South Africa?
I was. My son married a South African.
Who?
Bacher?
Which Bacher?
Shalom?
I'm not Bacher.
So the topic I chose is a healthy tension. I looked at Rabbi Goldberg's introduction to the topic. Of course, there's a lot of tension now that we're experiencing with what's been going on. And like I said, this is already going on a few years with different happenings that have been happening amongst people around Klal Yisrael, etc. But what I would like to really focus on is how Chassidus actually teaches us and is guiding us for healthy tension. If a person were to Google healthy tension on the internet, Google, you would find that a healthy tension is what big corporations like to introduce into the work environment, where they want to get max returns from the different groups or teams, let's say, that are working on various programs. And so the results should be most profitable or in the best interest of the company. And a healthy tension is where there's enough tension that they could say that it's not too aggressive, where people within the company are not getting too aggressive. Where I come from in Seattle, there are companies there, not to mention any, where we've learned that there's, they take the healthy part of the tension to an extreme, not in a healthy extreme, because they want to have max production from people. We have the statistic of 80-20. 80% of our success comes from 20% of our efforts, and people want to try to push that statistic higher, try to get more return on their investment, let's say, with people. So what is healthy tension in Chassidus? So healthy tension in a work environment actually is you want, whether it's two teams, I've read something, you'll have a software team and a hardware team in the same company, and each one's pushing their agenda, so to come out with the best bottom line in the product or for the company. So what would it mean, a healthy tension in Chassidus? So to understand that, we have to really understand, go back a little bit to what is Chassidus. I'm not sure what topics have been talked about, and I'm sure you guys are well familiar with Chassidus, but I'd like to start with the Hayom Yom that is from the Rebbe, authored on the 14th of Kislev. And the Rebbe goes into describing 4 terms. We have Tzaddik, the righteous person, Yasher, the straight person, Tamim, the complete person, and the Chassid. And the Rebbe describes what is the difference between these 4 descriptions of people. So the Rebbe says like this, that a tzaddik, a righteous person, is a person whose focus is the positive commandments. And that's the idea of the positive commandments. A person who focuses, the tzaddik, the righteous person. And that's a person who puts in, the idea is to bring down revelations through mitzvos, the positive mitzvos, into creation, known as the Seder, the chain of creation. The Yasher, the straight person, is referring to the person who's careful in not transgressing the negative commands. So that's a person that's the focus is, what the Rebbe says, to bring down revelations that are higher than creation. Because positive means when you have positive things, right? So these are things that you should be doing. So that's all within the norm. So what should I be doing? When your focus is on, or a person that excels on avoiding things you shouldn't be doing, so you're actually not doing anything. So we know that it's brought down in Chassidus many times, that the idea of a negative commandment is can't come down into any action. It comes by avoiding things. So you're kind of getting in touch with an abstract energy, which is called the light, or the revelations that are beyond creation, because you're not doing anything. Tamim, what is a complete person? The Rebbe says ernstkeit. Ernstkeit means a serious person. And
A serious person?
yes, ernstkeit. Ernstkeit means serious. And he describes it as, we know that there's a concept that's brought down in the Medrash, I believe, that when God created the fruits and vegetables, he wanted that the trees should taste like the fruit. That was his plan. It doesn't say how things went wrong, it says the trees didn't listen. I don't know how that works exactly, but the trees didn't listen.
Rabbi,
Yes?
when you say beyond creation, Hashem creates everything.
So you have, so it means when Hashem does create everything, but he created a system where there's the norm. Beyond creation means beyond the norm. So you're touching, it means it's an excellent question. You're getting in touch with an energy that the only way to get in touch with it is by not doing something. So almost as if the negative commandment is a way for a person to reach in within themselves by avoiding to do something. It means yes, you have an urge to do something. And the Torah tells you should not be doing that thing that you have an urge to do. By controlling yourself and restraining yourself, so you're going against your nature. So by going against your nature, you're going against the norm. So therefore you're able to bring down an energy that's beyond the norm. Where if you're doing something, so it's like you're doing things. So now I'm doing the mitzvah. It's a positive thing. It's not against the norm. It's normal to do things. But by restraining yourself, even though it may make sense to restrain yourself, some of the mitzvahs, most of the mitzvahs are regular, do not do things, but it's the way Hashem told us to do it. We do it because Hashem told us. Let's say forbidden relationships or what have you. It's because Hashem told us to avoid it. And so by restraining yourself, you are doing beyond the norm, and therefore you can bring down energy beyond the norm. Tamim is a person who's ernstkeit, which he says, that's the idea of the tree and the fruit taste the same, and he says what that means is a person who tries to combine the two. You're serious, where the focus is both within the norm and beyond the norm. So what is the chassid? And this is why I'm mentioning this Ayom Yom. The Rebbe says the chassid is a person that have three stages. One is that worldly things don't confuse him or her. A chassid is a person, he or she, who doesn't allow for worldly things to confuse them. That's the lowest level of chassid. The second level of a chassid is that everything about them is godliness. Their whole focus, the whole drive, the reality is godliness. On that, the Rebbe has a footnote and says, and that the Rebbe says, that's not for everyone. This is where we're leading to tension. It's not for everyone. A person can say that my whole focus in life is only about Hashem. That's my whole drive, that's my whole motivation, that's what I wake up to. It's not for everyone. And the third one, he said, is it's not about, he quotes the saying, Eiz a chassid, who's a chassid, I'm a chassid in koinei, a person who does kindness with his creator, meaning it's not even about all Hashem, it's not about your benefit from serving Hashem, it's what Hashem wants from me, that's the highest level. Means you wake up in the morning, it's not just that it's all about Hashem, it's not about my own personal benefit in serving Hashem. It's not because I'm becoming more spiritual, I'm becoming more connected. So that's obviously a very high level. And the last two levels really is what's called Chassidic tension. That's Chassidic tension. That kind of focus. We know that we have three families within the tribe of Levi. We have the family of Kahas, we have the family of Gershon, and we have the family of Merari. They didn't all have the same jobs. In the temple time, in the tabernacle time, in the Mishkan time, they didn't all have the same job. The family of Gershon carried the coverings of the Mishkan. The family of Merari, they carried the parts of the Mishkan. And the family of Kahas carried the internal parts of the Mishkan. The Alter Rebbe talks about that the three families represent three types of service of Hashem. Merari is a person who's finding the service of Hashem bitterness. Gershon is a person likes to be in an environment of holiness. That's the coverings, represents Makiv, encompassing energy. And Kahas carried mainly the ark. And the Alter Rebbe describes the job of the Bnei Kahas was they didn't carry it, we know from King David, right? We know the Torah tells us they had to carry it on their shoulders. They weren't able to use the wagons. They carried the ark facing each other and walking towards their destination. And we could say that the three levels of a chassid are really the three levels of the family of Levi, right? So bitterness is a kind of service where a person is finding whether you're bitter about distance, bitter about Avera sins. Bitterness is a kind of service of Hashem where you're finding, you're connected to a distance with some sort of reason, whether it depends on different extremes, but some sort of distance that you're feeling and therefore you're bitter. The encompassing energy is like the person who wants to be all about Hashem. But it's about you. I want to be I want to be in a holy place. I want to be in a spiritual place. And the Bnei Kahas is about, I need to get the Torah, I need to get the Oron, it's the destination. It's the focus of, it's not even about my own spiritual experience, it's about where the Torah has to go, where's the ark need to go, where does God need me to bring the ark? It's a famous story, it says, there's a chassid of the Baal Shem Tov, who came to Baal Shem Tov to say goodbye. He says, I'm going to Eretz Yisrael. So it was before Shabbos, he maybe came for the final Shabbos or the Baal Shem Tov asked him to stay for Shabbos, I think. So he said, okay. And it comes before Shabbos, the Baal Shem Tov said, you should go with me to the mikvah. Before Shabbos, you go to the mikvah. So he goes to the mikvah with the Baal Shem Tov, and he goes into the water, and he sees that he's in Eretz Yisrael. And he comes back a second time into the water, and he sees he's in Yerushalayim. And he bows, he goes into the water a third time, and he sees that he's in the temple. And he's in the temple, he runs into the Holy of Holies, and there's no ark. So he asks, in his vision, where's the ark? Oh, they say, oh, the ark is a mezbush by the Baal Shem Tov. So he was running away, and they were telling him that the ark was here. And that's that kind of focus. So Hasidic tension is, when a person has to ask themselves, what kind of person am I? And like in the description of healthy tension in a job, we're created with our own two teams. We have our Yetzer Hara and our Yetzer Tov. We have our animal side and we have our holy side. We have our holy side that has its own agenda, that wants to be holy, and we have our side that wants to do what's wanted from us, not what we want. So the level of tension within our service of Hashem is not that we're trying to like the business, it's about results. It's a bottom line. The bottom line is how we navigate our tension. And it has to be in a healthy environment. It means you have, I was giving a class a few days ago, and we're talking about the halacha, that there's 2 times in davening a person has to have kavanah, has to have, not just to say the prayer, but you have to actually have intention of what the prayer is about. 2 times, if you don't do it, you have to do it again. What is that? We say the first part of the Shema. And the second one is the first blessing of Shemona Esrei. So I was explaining to the people, because the chronic crowd that I was talking to are vulnerable to this problem, which would be that what's the right kavanah, right? You say Shema one time, say, oh, I could have said it much better. You say, oh, no, I could have done even better. I could have really been focused on zoning in on the idea of a hafta, of loving Hashem, and the 4th time, 5th time. And same thing in the Shemona Esrei, right? I recognize Magen Avram, right? That God was shielding Avram and shielding the light of Avram. I really wasn't zoning in on that. So there's no end where a person can get lost in, did I do the right kavanah? So that's not a healthy tension, right? I had to explain to Chevra, I said, listen, as long as you're not thinking about your pizza shop or whatever your business is, and you think about God, that was a good Shema. Next time maybe you'll do better. But you can't do it a second time if you're thinking about Hashem, but you just feel you're missing a few notes on that, the love of Hashem or the connecting to the Magen Avram. So, but the point of it all is that you have to, for a person, when we start to study Chassidus, we start to examine that and realize that the tension is actually is part of our life. It's not a tension that's trying to take us somewhere else. It's not a tension that we have to overcome. It's a healthy tension because the bottom line for us is constant. Every time we do a mitzvah, every time we make a choice, the tension can be on small things. Every time we give more charity than we're ready to give. Every time we wake up and join a minyan. Every time we study a little more Torah. That's focusing on your healthy Chassidic tension. And because your focus is, how could I do what Hashem wants for me? Now, even though the Rebbe says that's the level of not everyone could reach that level, maybe not in its purest, but that should be a part of your morning when you wake up and you say the Mordani, when you go to sleep and you say the Shema Yisrael, and you ask yourself, how did this day, when we're, as we get a little on in age, we start getting more focused and clear of what our goals are and what we should be doing and what we rate ourselves as a successful day or a successful week or a successful year, right? And we do our different various cheshbon and nefesh. But the tension when you realize that you're able to grow with it, it ends up becoming an exciting venture. It's not an oil, it's not a waste. Now, I wanted to talk about a few things that talk about this idea of tension. In Chassidus we have, I want to talk about the idea of doubt, sfeikus. I'm not talking about sfeikus, doubting God or doubting yourself. I'm talking about when you wake up. So if you're surviving life and you're saying the Torah mitzvahs, I had a discussion with someone right before I came here now. He says mitzvahs are just how do we get through life? I said no, it's not what a mitzvah is. A mitzvah is not how do you get through life. It's not like we live in this world and God gave us a manual, and therefore some topics, if you have a manual for life and you want to know how to fly fish, so as long as you're not going to be fly fishing, it's not a chapter you're going to turn to, right? If you have, if you choose to fly fish, then you have the guide for it. Torah is not a guide how do we get through life. Torah is our way to bring godliness down to the world, for us to succeed in our mission and why we're here, why God created us, why God had a conversation with us, right? We learn in Chassidus, God had a conversation with each and every individual to ask that person, not only do you want to come down to this world, but what do you think about creating the world? God, because he had a conversation with the souls of the Jewish people. It says with the souls of the righteous, and everyone's righteous. So every person at some point in their consciousness or subconsciousness had a conversation with God and agreed this is a good idea. That the mission, the tension is a good idea. So, but we have doubts even because of the healthy tension, because we want to do the mitzvahs, because we want to do the avodah that we're supposed to be doing. We're not always sure what are we supposed to be doing. How do we know what the right thing is? There's so many times that we're faced with choices that even if you sit with yourself in a long evaluation and you have a discussion with yourself, you're not sure what the right route is. And the Rebbe actually talked about this on Yud Tes Kislev 1961. The Rebbe said, he asked the question, he said that there used to be a custom by the Chassidim in the early days that the Alter Rebbe had a grandson called Reb Nachlaot. He was the son of the Mittler Rebbe. He himself did not become Rebbe, but he was a very high-level person. He was part of the discussion who should succeed his father, the Mittler Rebbe. At the end, it was his brother-in-law, first cousin, as we know, the Tzemach Tzedek. But he was a very high person. His thing was, on Yud Tes Kislev, the 19th of Kislev, he would tell the story. He was there. He would tell the story. And the Rebbe questioned why would he tell the story that the previous Rebbe told us how he would tell the story. And he would tell the story starting from before the Alter Rebbe even went to his teacher, the Maggid. He's talking about a story. Alter Rebbe was teaching Chassidus. People disagreed with his methods. He was reported to the authorities in Russia. They figured it was counter-revolutionary. He was in jail. There was we know the stories that the Maggid, his teacher, and the Baal Shem Tov told him there were voices in heaven that disagreed with the teachings of Chassidus, with this teaching of this tension, giving this whole new game plan to what we're doing here. The idea of marching to Mashiach. I mean, these are big ideas. And so why wouldn't you just start the story? The Baal Shem Tov was a Rebbe, the Alter Rebbe was a Rebbe, and he taught Chassidus, and there was issues and there was questions. No, Reb Nachum would start the story from the beginning, from when the Alter Rebbe went to his teacher, the Maggid, that he was 10 years by the Maggid, and he was 5 years the head of the assembly of the students of the Maggid, and then he taught Chassidus for 20 years, and then he went to prison. And so the Rebbe says that the reason is because the beginning of the Alter Rebbe's journey to his teacher, the Maggid, started with doubt. He wasn't sure where to go. The Alter Rebbe was a person of great talent, great study. He would be known as a wunderkind. You know, he was part of the Chevra Kedisha, which was not just a group of people that dealt with burial, but that was Chevra Kedisha was a respected Chevra of every city. He was a member at a young age. I mean, he was a person that had choices, and he was thinking about should he go to Vilna and study, excel in his Talmudic studies, or if he should go to the Maggid, the student of the Baal Shem Tov, to learn how to pray. So we say that the Alter Rebbe said, I know how to learn a little bit, I don't know how to pray. The Alter Rebbe said, I don't know how to pray, so he figured to go to the Maggid and try it out. And the Rebbe says that the reason why the story starts there is because here the Rebbe teaches us a fascinating rule about tension, about tension. The Rebbe says, if you have not entered a stage of sveikus, of doubt, healthy doubt in your life, then you should know. The Rebbe's not saying it's right or wrong. You haven't yet started your journey in life. Every journey of a person's life must start, the Rebbe says, with healthy doubt. Sveikus. And the Rebbe finishes the story to say that not only is it important to have healthy doubt, but you have to know with confidence that after the healthy doubt you'll have clarity, and then when you have clarity you'll be able to find your mission in life. So we think about it, what's this need for doubt? Why is there a need for doubt? Why can a person just have, wake up, you go, you have these people who the father or the mother tell them, you've been signed up to this elementary school, this preschool, this high school, hopefully you go to this college, you'll follow my footsteps, you'll become a lawyer, your life is planned out, you'll marry so-and-so or someone like that, and you'll build a family, and then you'll retire at 65 years old. And then why does a person have to go through that? Why can't we just have our life clear for us?
If you're lit by.
No, but I'm saying that you think about it. But the Rebbe says not only is doubt part of the avodah, the Rebbe goes as far as to say you haven't started to become who you can be until you start with doubt. Because doubt is that pressure, doubt is that tension that forces yourself to get uncomfortable a bit with yourself. To be that person who has to ask himself, if everything is simple, are you going to ever have that conversation with yourself of what is a chassid? What does it mean to wake up in the morning and ask yourself, what does Hashem want from me? What does it mean to ask yourself, how is godliness part of my life? What does it mean to ask yourself of, what have I done to bring Mashiach today? If you're clear and you're comfortable with yourself, you don't have that healthy tension, so you're never going to have that conversation with yourself. The doubt, the sveikus, and the Alter Rebbe went through a lot of sveikus. He wasn't sure. And it could have gone any way. And we know from the stories of the Maggid, and the same thing the Maggid had with the Baal Shem Tov, that they didn't really help answer the doubt. It means they didn't walk into the door of the holy Maggid or to the Baal Shem Tov. The Baal Shem Tov says, I was waiting for you. I'm so excited to hear this is the right choice. This is your best choice. Thank God you did it. The Maggid was instructed by his teacher, the Baal Shem Tov, not to pursue the Alter Rebbe, let him find you, not to be too aggressive when he comes to visit you. The Maggid Mizrich himself, when he went to go visit the Baal Shem Tov avoided even being impressive. He went out of his way to be unimpressive. So the Maggid should find his path through doubt. Another interesting thing that we have is, so we have the stage of doubt that's important to us. There's another idea. We find that, I'm not sure if that's what was the topic, that one of the points that Rabbi Goldberg was talking about, the idea of the Pardes of Torah. You know, the Pardes, this is the garden of Torah. It's brought down in Chassidus many times. It's brought down in other places. That we know that there was 4 great giants of Torah that went into the garden of Torah, the Pardes. Pardes is the Ramak authored a book called the Pardes, but the Pardes is the garden of higher understanding and theology of Hashem, of Kabbalah. Out of the 4 that went in, only 1 survived. So who went in? Rabbi Akiva, Ben Azai, Ben Zoma, and a person a little less known as Elisha ben Abua. Other people call him Acher, the other person. He's known as the other. Rabbi Akiva, let's start with Elisha ben Abua. He was the teacher of Meir, a giant of Torah, lived in very hard times. This is talking about the uprising of Bar Kochba. You have to understand, again, there was a lot of outside tension by Klal Yisrael. This is the Dor Hashmad, horrible time for Jewish people. And he was a very sensitive person.
What's Shemad mean?
Destruction. He was a very sensitive person. The Gemara tells us what really got him was seeing a child listen to his father to do the mitzvah of sending away the bird and falling off the tree and dying. And he says, "What? These are 2 mitzvahs that says that the person who listens to the parent, the person who sends away the bird, lives a long life, and here the child dies." So he was a sensitive person, and he went totally off the way. Totally left Torah mitzvahs. He looked to try to transgress any of it. So he was one who didn't survive. The next person went crazy. Lost his mind. The next person died. It was too much. The only one who survived is Rabbi Akiva. And the Gemara says that Nichnas b'shalom v'yatz b'shalom. He went in peacefully and he left peacefully. And the Alter Rebbe always says this idea of Chassidus, that how did he survive? Because his attitude of how he approached it was right. Which means, again, healthy tension. He went in with the goal, with the idea of how can this experience make me a better servant of Hashem here in this world. Means he wasn't looking for an experience of godliness. He wasn't looking for experience of spirituality. He wasn't looking for a trip. The idea was how could he take this experience and become a better Jew? And because his attitude, Rechavia, initially was right, he survived.
How do we know that?
About Rabbi Akiva? How do we know that about ourselves?
How do we know that he went into that?
Because it says Nichnas b'shalom. He went in peacefully. Not that he left peacefully. It says he went in and left. So the question is, why does he have to tell us he went in peacefully? Just say that he walked out, he survived going out. So the answer given is the reason why he survived leaving is because his entry was proper. The right intentions, the right Chabad. We find also we have Rabbi Akiva and we have Avram Avinu. Rabbi Akiva and Avram Avinu, we know that Rabbi Akiva said about himself, while he's dying, while he's being murdered by the Romans, he's being coned to death. His teachers, he started to say the Shema. His students asked him, "Ad k'dei kach?" So, this is where you're holding in life, that you're saying the Shema. At this point, you're believing in God. He says, "What do you mean? I lived my whole life to die like this. My whole life I waited to die to sanctify Hashem's name." Who's the father of self-sacrifice that we know? Our father Avram, right? Avram was the one who was the person who withstood all the tests up until death. He was ready to sacrifice his son. He's the father known in Chassidus. He opened the gates for Mesiras Nefesh. The previous Rebbe says, what was the difference between Rabbi Akiva and Avram Avinu? So if here we talk about Rabbi Akiva, this is why tension has many levels, right? You could have a healthy tension with your own soul, with your own spirituality, not just with your animal soul. With your godly soul, you can have tension with what the godly soul wants in its godly experience, and what Hashem wants from you. So here we have Rabbi Akiva who walks into the Pardes with the right intention to be able to become a better Jew, to serve Hashem better. He leaves the only one who survives this experience. And here the previous Rebbe says, what is the difference between Rabbi Akiva and Avram Avinu? That at the end of the day, Rabbi Akiva still wanted to experience self-sacrifice. Avram Avinu was even greater than that. He had no desire to experience self-sacrifice. He had one desire, to serve God. And if serving God meant he needed to do self-sacrifice, then he was ready to do it. But he never had an urge, a yearning to die for Hashem. The Alter Rebbe was in prison in the story of Yud Tes Kislev. And we know the famous story, the minister or the czar, whoever it is, walked into the room and said, asked him the question, why does God ask Adam Ayek, where are you? And first the Alter Rebbe said as well. Rashi says, I know what Rashi says, what do you say? And the famous story, the Alter Rebbe said exactly the age of the person who was standing in front of him. When you're a person at this and this age, God asks that person, he or she, where are you, Ayeka? What have you done? What are you holding in your life? What have you accomplished? What's your drive in life? What wakes you up in the morning? What are you thinking about when you go to sleep? What kind of person are you? Ayeka, where are you? And it says that saved the Alter Rebbe. The question and the conversation he had with this minister or king, whoever it was, the Tsar, actually saved the Alter Rebbe. Because the Alter Rebbe himself was going through such an experience of love and excitement for his being imprisoned for godliness and for God's Torah and for the teachings of Chassidus, that he was about to experience what's called close nefesh. His soul was going to leave him, like one of the people who went into the paradise who died. It was going to be an overwhelming experience. He really took it personally. He wasn't looking to survive prison. He was so excited to be able to be a person that was being imprisoned for his teaching of the Baal Shem Tov, that is the teaching that will bring the Mashiach, that he almost experienced close nefesh. But when he answered that Gentile, that person, that God asked Ayeka, he said to himself, one second, Ayeka, where am I? What does God want from me right now? Does he want me to get excited about serving him? Or does he want me to serve him? And the Alter Rebbe lost that level of excitement, came back, went out of prison, and Chabad, as we know it, is post Yud Tes Kislev. We know that in Chabad is what's called before Petersburg and after Petersburg. The Alter Rebbe's approach to his mission in life excelled tremendously after he got out of prison. He asked his teachers, what should I do? And his teachers told him, Baal Shem Tov the Maggid said, whatever you've been doing until now, do more. Even though your methods have been questioned, not just here, but in heaven. Because to be a person, to be part of a group, to be part of a belief that's going to bring the Mashiach, that's not going to happen by a person that's not experiencing tension. It's not going to happen by a person who's not experiencing doubt. It's not going to happen by people that are looking to see how they could benefit from their service. It's going to take people that are carrying the ark, facing each other, walking and marching, where do I need to go? And the Alter Rebbe went out and he continued to teach. It's clear, anyone who studies, I'm sure they give classes here in the teachings of Alter Rebbe, the teachings of Chassidus. After the Alter Rebbe came out, there's another level of explanation. And it's more grounded, it's less spiritual. They say when the Alter Rebbe would say a discourse before he went into prison, you were overwhelmed. A person did not listen to the Alter Rebbe and not get inspired. But when afterwards, it was more ideas. It was more understood. It was more to bring up, because, again, leaving the vessels is not the service. Hashem wants us to be here. So, I think we could use the idea of in every situation. I think where we're holding now a little bit in what's going on in Eretz Yisrael today, and we have a lot of tension, and we have a lot of uncertainty, a lot of sfeikus. Any two people that have a conversation here, it's not about good or bad. It's about what's the right thing, what's the right. We don't know, right? No one knows. I find it hard to believe even the people making decisions are certain of what the right choices are. There's a lot of we're facing a lot of doubt. People around the world, Jewish people around the world, are facing a lot of questions that they've never faced before. Maybe our grandparents in Europe did, but not them. And it's a kind of tension that is unhealthy, I think. And I think that for a person, and this is myself included, talking to myself, is when you have to wake up and say, what does Hashem want us to do in this situation? Like, what is best for us to do? How do we move forward? We don't know. But at the end of the day, is like when you're in doubt, do a mitzvah. When you don't know what you should be doing, then you should definitely not be doing nothing. And do a mitzvah, be kind. Tell someone about putting on film, tell another woman to light Shabbos candles. Because those are positive things. And that starts building direction, and that starts building a positive, and it's not easy. It takes a lot of, it's not easy for everyone to go out there and give that time or go out there and speak to people, and some people are shy or uncomfortable, whatever it is. There's a lot of challenges in doing what has to be done, but again, it's not about, I don't think we signed up in Chassidus, we're not signing up for the easy way. The Alter Rebbe said that if he wouldn't have demanded emes, truth, from his kihila, from his chassidim, he would have had 50,000 more chassidim. Right? If he would have said, it's going to be a nice experience. It's going to be spiritual. You're going to have a nice vibrangen. Afterwards, you're going to have kugel, and you're going to say l'chaim, we're going to dance. You're going to feel spiritual. It's going to be nice. It's going to be a nice addition to your day. It's going to be a nice addition to your week, even a nice, important part of your day. It's an enhancement. It's just going to take you to bring something nice. Alter Rebbe says, I want emes. Because there's the job that we have to do, and it's our generation. The Rebbe says we are that generation. We may not feel that we're worthy, we may not feel that we're able, we may have a lot of doubt, maybe a lot more doubt than other generations had. We may be struggling with basic day-to-day challenges. Our tension may be not between our nefesh, our neshama, and what Hashem wants from us, but just doing the right thing, making the right choices, getting over, and not always will we do it, but it all comes from the same place. It all comes from the same place. We have to try to be the best yid we could be, mamish, and doing the right things and bringing Mashiach and bringing the light. So I want to wish everyone a happy Yud Tes Kislev. If anyone has any questions, you have a little extra time. Go ahead.
I actually don't know if that's really true for us if we're connected to the Rebbe and the Rebbe's instruction, that we be confused or in conflict. The world is spinning. Everything physically, things are just moving, parts are really moving.
Mm-hmm.
But the Rebbe gave very clear and specific instructions in what we're going through right now.
Yeah.
Very clear. Okay, so now that they did that with the hostages, they stopped everything, and so that's not what the Rebbe said to do. So, yeah, maybe. He said, you can't make that trade. Yeah, and get rid of your enemy. I mean, the Rebbe was very clear.
Yeah, you're right, the Rebbe was clear, but actually the idea of the doubt was something the Rebbe spoke about. On Yud Tes Kislev, the Rebbe says, we all go through doubt, we have to go through doubt. The Rebbe says it's a condition of being a chassid to go through doubt.
Self-doubt?
Yeah. No, doubting what the right thing is to do. He started, that's what the Rebbe, before you came in, the Rebbe was talking about, the Alter Rebbe had doubt. Where should she go? Should she go to Vilna? Should she go to Mizrich? And the Rebbe says the reason why that's important is because we have to, the Rebbe says, the Rebbe goes as far as to go.
Our Rebbe?
Yeah, we talk about Yud Tes Kislev 1951, 50, half base, 51. The Rebbe said that if you don't have doubt, you haven't started to live.
Is it self-doubt?
Yeah, doubt, like what's, I mean...
Like for me, should I be here? Should I be there? Should I be
That
doing
could be
this?
that, yeah.
Okay.
But the way, but you're right also. So how do you...
There is specific instructions.
So how do you deal with doubt? When you have doubt and you don't know what to do, look what you're supposed to be doing right now, if you understand it or not. What should I do right now? That means, but if a person is to stop and say, I'm not doing anything, or I don't want to get involved, or I don't know what's going on, or I can't help in this situation, then it's a cop-out. I mean, you have to see everyone can do something. Everyone has an ability. There's no person who can't be nicer to someone, who can't tell someone something that would make them feel a little better as a yid or as a person. Everyone has the ability to do something, and if you're not doing anything, then that's not the answer for sure.
But you can't let your personal, what you were saying before, if you're not fighting the Yetzer Hara, then what are you doing? I mean, that's a good thing.
Yeah,
Well, I don't mean it's a good thing to fight the Yetzer Hara.
No, you have to.
But is it a good thing to have a Yetzer Hara?
Absolutely, that's part of the tension. It says, there's an expression that says, sus v'rachvay. You have a rider and a horse. The horse is the animal soul, is the Yetzer Hara, and the rider is the nefesh of kis, the godly soul. And if you want to go somewhere and you're in a rush, what do? You gotta go on the horse. You want to move, if you want to get what you have to do to get done, you have to go with your Yetzer Hara, you have to go with your nefesh hamis. But in a way that, just like the rider, if you let the horse run wild, they're going to go all over the place. You're not going to get anywhere. You'll go to the wrong place. So if you want to go to the right place, you have to be in control. but use the energy of the Yetzer Hara, right? That's what Yaakov was trying to do with Esav. He meets Esav. He wants to know, are we ready to go together for Mashiach? Why does he need Esav to go to Mashiach? He needs the rider and the horse.
Okay.
Seder Chevra.
Thank you.
Have a beautiful Yud Tes Kislev and a nice Shabbos.
Take your eggs.
Remember, it's pretty consistent.